Eastern Europe has been upended by the expansion of the Russo-Ukrainian war over the last 16, 17 months. At this point, on the 24th of February 2022, Russia extended its invasion of Ukraine. The Russo-Ukrainian war began back in 2014 with Russia's annexation of Crimea and invasion of Donbass in the east of Ukraine. I had to also evacuate. Fortunately, as I'm known as the insider for Eastern Europe, I did have that American intel ahead of time, so I had fortunately pre-positioned with my girlfriend right on the border with Romania, a city called Chernovtsi, which I thought was the best city in Ukraine to be in the case that we would need to evacuate, which was relatively stress-free for me and for my girlfriend when we left, but unfortunately, of course, not for millions of Ukrainians who had a more arduous journey out of the country. About 7 million people, I think, left at the beginning of this full-scale invasion. And I've come back to Eastern Europe after a couple of months, basically, in the European Union, and I have been on a mission for my clients to explore the alternatives to Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus, which are off limits for my clients at the moment. So over the last year, we're coming up to about 1 year since I came back. I actually went to Chisinau in Moldova, and I have settled on 4 countries that I'm going to bring you on a journey to in this video. They are, of course, Moldova, Poland, Latvia, and here where I am right now, Kazakhstan. And basically, I now bring my clients to 4 cities in those countries. So the capital of Poland, Warsaw, the capital of Latvia, Riga, crazy Chisinau, the capital of Mad Moldova, and here where I'm standing, which is Almaty in Kazakhstan, which is not actually the political capital. It was the former capital of Kazakhstan and is, in effect, the commercial capital of Central Asia. So basically, my clients were attracted mainly to live in Ukraine before this full-scale invasion. And now they are looking for alternatives in order to have an abundant lifestyle with more freedom, better cost of living, so they get more value for the money, lower taxes, and of course, better dating options than they find in the West, because this is the region with the most beautiful women in the world, in my opinion. And in today's video, I'm going to bring you on my journey exploring the alternatives and why I settled on these 4 cities. So let's go together. Поехали!
SAR Experience.
Country number 1 that I'm going to recommend is right here, Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan, you might be thinking, is that even in Europe? Is that Eastern Europe? Well, at the most expansive definitions of Europe, because there's a small part of Kazakhstan on the west side of the Ural Mountains, we count it geographically as Europe, and therefore Eastern Europe. It is a bit of a stretch. Here in Astana, I'm probably as close to Beijing as I am to Kiev. But yes, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to include Kazakhstan as being in Eastern Europe, although you could also argue that where I am is actually Central Asia, and it feels a bit different. We're here in Astana, the capital is on the steppe. It is very cold with a wind during the winter. In particular, and very hot during the summer.
Камила, где мы? Что мы делаем?
Так, ну мы находимся в прекрасном городе Алмата. Это Коктубе, возвышенность с деревушкой. Вы можете ее лицезреть сейчас. Вообще Алмата это про душевность. Это очень красивый город, где каждый найдет что-то для себя.
Most guys are actually going to go to Almaty, which is the old capital, the former capital of Kazakhstan. That is the commercial capital of all of Central Asia. It is located near the border with Kyrgyzstan and it is a fantastic city. I've actually been recommending that to my clients, especially go and live the Tsar experience in person. So why Kazakhstan? Well, it has a lot of the benefits, we'll say the pluses, of the other parts of Eastern Europe that are now not recommended to go to: Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. And that is cost of living is quite affordable. But in general, it's got the same price level. People are super friendly and open here. Women are attractive, and you have a lot of good nightlife and the same high standard at the top end that you have in many big cities in Eastern Europe like Kiev, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Minsk, etc. I actually made a separate video, 5 reasons Kazakhstan. I'll link it up above in the card, down below in the description if you want to go in more depth to understand why Kazakhstan is a good option in 2023.
Что это? Точно.
Тот это гостям,
Да.
когда гости уходят, ему обязательно в пакет ложат там печенье, баурсак, конфеты.
Со стола.
Да, со стола.
Окей, супер. Для гостей.
Да, вот. Для
Казахская
гостей.
традиция. Спасибо.
That is the first country, Kazakhstan. No Borat stereotypical comments, please, down below. It is far removed from that. Okay, let's get on to the next country. Greetings from Poland. I'm here in the capital, Warsaw, and I have to say the infrastructure here is quite remarkable. It is the same as being in the West because, well, Poland is part of the West. It is the eastern part of the European Union. It's been a member since 2004. And as a result, it has really caught up. The economy's been booming for many years here, at least the last 15. They didn't really have an economic crisis even back in 2008. And you can see that with the standard of the public transport and the infrastructure across the capital here and across the country. And that's the other thing about Poland. It has a good bit of diversity. You have the mountains in the south. You have the sea in the north. So where you have the beaches, you can go hiking, go skiing. And has a lot of different types of cities. So you have a big cosmopolitan capital here, 2 million people, Warsaw, but you also have beautiful architectural cities like Krakow, also student cities like Lublin, Łódź, and Poznan. So there's just a lot of options here. So variety is great. And not only do you have the pretty Poles, you also have a massive diaspora from Ukraine. Obviously, the Russo-Ukrainian war is the reason why I've embarked on this voyage of discovery across the other parts of Eastern Europe. And on top of that, you actually have a diaspora from Belarus that's come in the last few years as well. The city, Warsaw in particular, has a good variety of restaurants and things to do. It is a big cosmopolitan capital nowadays, and the price point is significantly lower still than in big cities in Western Europe, like, say, Paris, London, Berlin, etc., Rome. So it is a great option. Very impressed so far. So Maxime, tell me, what are the main things you love about Warsaw compared to Western Europe?
Yeah, so basically I'm French-Belgian, so I grew up in Western Europe and I decided to move to Warsaw for many reasons. The first thing, I love it. I love the nightlife here because you can find wherever you want. You can find hipstery places, more fancy ones. I love as well the restaurants, the quality of food here, the people, the girls as well. It's also very easy to connect with people. I think they're very open-minded, even more actually when you're coming from somewhere else, from other countries in Europe, because I think that Polish people, and also you also have a lot of Ukrainians and people from Belarus living here. They're very curious about other cultures, and that's why when you approach them, they're very open to talk and to connect. Yeah, these are one of the main reasons why I love Warsaw and Poland in general.
So I made it here to the Baltics, Latvia. Riga is the capital here, about 600, 700,000 people. Got a memorial with 2 soldiers standing guard. Give you a little bit of a spin around. You got the old town here. Just up here, you got the iconic Riga clock by the train station. So yeah, definitely very different. Oh, we're getting a bit of a procession behind us. So here, definitely don't have the price difference between the West and the East like you do in many of the other places. This is part of the European Union. There isn't such a big difference anymore. It would have been different 20 years ago, but infrastructure is definitely great. Cool vibe in both the old town and the newer part of Riga, the capital. Definitely for clubbing and stuff like that, it was a big thumbs up. And of course, as for everywhere that I go and there's our experience, not disappointed by the beauty of the women whatsoever here in Latvia. The city itself is a mix of ethnic Latvians and people from the other parts of the former Soviet Union, in particular ethnic Russians. You're going to hear a lot of Russian spoken here, although it is not an official language, unlike in Kazakhstan. So overall, pretty good actually. Riga used to have a reputation for lots of British, in particular British stag parties, and it's a little bit messy and cheap tourism in that sense, drunken, a lot of sex tourism. But I don't really see that, at least here. It's now January at this moment. Didn't see any of that here, so that maybe they've just been priced out of that market because it has gotten a lot more expensive in the last decade here in Latvia.
Riga's been amazing. I recommend coming to this city for anyone interested in coming to Eastern Europe post-Russian invasion of Ukraine. It's been an extraordinary experience and a good alternative to going to Kiev.
Exactly, because obviously at the moment the party scene in Kiev is not going to be the same for a long time. And we're not going to Russia or Belarus at the moment either. So Riga has surprised me. It's exceeded my expectations. Clubbing was good. We had a lot of fun. People were friendly. I thought maybe the reputation for the British and Irish stag partiers of yore would put people off. I've been friendly to a couple of Irish guys who were in for the weekend. But no, it's been pretty cool. And we found good places. We ate at good restaurants. We had a pretty much top Eastern European weekend. So yeah. To the next one, right? Yeah. All right, slideshow. So now for another different style of architecture. Up there you have the Arcul de Triomphe. The Arc de Triomphe. You might be thinking, Connor, are you suggesting that we go to Paris, to France as an alternative? No, I am in the capital of Moldova, Chisinau. And it is the country next door to Ukraine. Between Romania and Ukraine, you have Moldova. I think you're going to see that reflect also in the looks of the people here, in the looks of the girls, in the fact that a lot of them look similar to Slavs, like Ukrainians. Many of them look similar to Romanians, which were a bit more like the Latina look, I would say. Price point, more or less the same as in Ukraine, maybe a little bit more expensive, especially as rents have gone up a good bit here in Moldova. They also have a bit of an issue with energy right now, so that's probably going to be passed on a little bit in inflation. Touch wood, of course, that Russia doesn't get this far and they don't have some sort of war or political problems, but right now it looks pretty safe when I'm shooting this video clip. The other thing I will say is the downside, I mean, it's really comfortable here, I have to say. Pretty similar in terms of vibe, maybe being in parts of western Ukraine like Chernovtsi Oblast where I was. It's a little bit similar. It is a bit small though. Moldova is a small country with a small population, and here the capital Chisinau has a population of around 600, 700,000 people, so it's not a massive metropolis. And I think that is probably the one downside to moving to Moldova, is the fact that it's small. It's a country, I think, of just over 3 million people, if it even has that many left, because a lot of Moldovans have gone already westwards because so many Moldovans are actually entitled to Romanian citizenship, which is an EU passport, means they can leave and go and work anywhere in the EU. So overall, there are some of the things to consider about Chisinau. Also, maybe the city center, while I'm showing you the Arc de Triomphe, probably lacks a little bit of architecture. I like old world architecture like you expect in other cities in the region. It does have amazing wine though, I have to say. The Viniculture here is top. Could be possibly the best in the former Soviet Union countries, maybe in Eastern Europe in general. Maybe a bit controversial to say that. Georgians will be angry at me, and they are probably the most famous for their wine culture, but Moldova and Chisinau, rivaling them definitely. So that is what I gotta say about Chisinau and Moldova as an alternative. So there you have my whirlwind tour of the 4 countries that I've explored for you in the last year, and I advocate the cities of Chisinau, Moldova, Riga in Latvia, Warsaw, Poland, and here, Almaty, amazing Almaty the Almighty in the south of Kazakhstan. Now I'm known by my former clients as the insider for Eastern Europe, also known as the special forces for the region. And what I do is I help my clients who are high-level guys who want to move for 3 to 12 months per year to Eastern Europe in order to enjoy a lifestyle of more abundance, more freedom, better cost of living, i.e. value, lower taxes, and of course to date the 9s and 10s, the uber beautiful of Eastern Europe, the model level beauty. And many of my clients are even dating models in the region, because this is, broadly speaking, the best place on planet Earth to meet beautiful women if you know what you're doing. What I offer is the Czar Experience. It is based around a long weekend and is your first step to designing your lifestyle here, an optimal lifestyle in Eastern Europe. We'll go out together and party, paint the town red here with the super beautiful of the region, the high-level guys who create the beginnings of your high-level social circle here in the city in Eastern Europe. And you'll get to tap into my over 10 years of experience and expertise in this region. That is why I'm known as the insider for Eastern Europe, because, well, I invested over 10 years in being around here. I made all the mistakes that you don't need to make, and I've learned the optimal strategy for developing a lifestyle full of abundance and opportunities here in Eastern Europe. Now, with the Russo-Ukrainian war, and that was basically the reason for this video and this whole journey, I'm not bringing clients to Ukraine, Russia, or Belarus at the moment. And of course, I am bringing my clients to these 4 cities. I believe they're the best cities to come to. That's why I come to them with my clients. It's ipso facto. But the Czar Experience is by invitation only. I don't take everyone. I screen my clients to make sure that they are a good fit for the Czar Experience, that they have enough value to give. And down below in the description to this video is the application form for the Czar Experience. Before you do that, you should go and look at some of the playlists, especially if you're new to the channel. I'll link them up above on cards, down below also in the description. The first one is kind of going to augment what you've seen in today's video, because I have a playlist full of vlogs from the cities that you've just got a sample of, and also cities I went previously on the Czar Experience. Got a few former client testimonials in there as well. And I give you a flavor of what we do on the Czar Experience over the long weekend format. And then the second playlist is my set of tutorials to dating the uber beautiful here in Eastern Europe, the 9s and 10s, the super beautiful model level beauty that you will find here in huge quantities compared to other parts of planet Earth. So go check those 2 out. And if you think you're up to it, then down below is a link to the application form that could be you and me together pretty soon, living the Czar Experience together. And as I always say, for the last while, there is a Canadian ice hockey player of Belarusian origins, appropriately, who once said you miss 100% of the shots that you never take. So if you think you're real man enough, then down below is the application form. And on that note, I bid you a do svidaniya from Almaty, the Big Apple of Kazakhstan.
Czar Experience.